It is no secret that we here on the channel do look at quite a few Herpa Wings models. Not surprising, however, considering that Herpa is the dominant Scale 500 manufacturer. But every now and then it is just deserved to treat yourself, and treating ourselves we will today with this very special aircraft model, which we can take a look at thanks to Tim, or you might also know him as HDI International Airport, who borrowed me this aircraft model so we can together take a closer look at it. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where today we'll take a closer look at a Boeing 747-400 of Varig. At the front of the box we have the Varig branding in various iterations, and to be honest, we don't get much more when we look on the backside of the box, but I mean, we don't need that much more. I mean, it is a fairly simple yet a little bit interesting box design. Honestly speaking, way better than anything that Herpa gives us this day. Herpa, take note, we don't need something complicated, just something halfway decent looking. And here she is, the Boeing 747-400 in the 1980s standard livery of the Brazilian carrier Varig. The model itself was released in 2002 and produced by Big Bird. But 22 years after release, does the model still offer anything of value for collectors? Is it worth our money and time? We'll find out by taking a closer look at it, starting off with the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have the iconic Varig branding. On top of the stabilizer, we then also find the last two letters of the registration code. We have some really nice detailing on the horizontal stabilizers, and on the fuselage we then have the aircraft type specification as well as the full registration code of the aircraft, and towards the very tail of the aircraft we find a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage, just above the dark blue cheat line, we find the writing of Varig. We also find the Brazilian flag, the writing of Brazil, and another little logo here. We also have quite a few static ports or sensors across the fuselage, as well as the last three letters of the registration code specified once again. And also notice how many lovely details we actually have in the cabin doors. More nice details we can also find around the cockpit section with the cockpit windows, which also have the lovely metallic edges printed on, as well as the window wipers, and again also here some small sensors. Also notice the highly detailed emergency hatch just above the cockpit windows. Quite lovely indeed. Now, the engine nacelles have been given a grey paint without any safety markings, but we do have the silver leading edge as well as the General Electric logo printed on, so that's quite nice. The physical detailing itself I think is also pretty good. The only thing I would have wished for here is a different shade of grey for the engine fan blades, which you can see when you look into the front of the engines. From the engines we can move on to the wings, which you should also take a closer look at, starting off with the top side where we have the different flaps, slats and spoilers carved out quite nicely, although a little bit drowned away by the grey base paint of the wings. Furthermore, we find the full registration code of the aircraft printed on across both wings. We have the markings as to where to walk on the wing, not just in form of, well, different shades of grey, but also in form of a line, and even with the written specifications, so that's really awesome. The underside of the wings then has more nice physical detailing, and also here we once again find the full registration code printed on across both wings. The 747-400 of course also comes with winglets, which I think Big Bird has executed fairly well in Scale 500. My personal highlight, however, on the wings is simply the fact that Big Bird has added the landing lights in form of a printed detail. The landing gear is in line with the standards of Big Bird back in the day, and just like all 747s that were not released by Herpa Wings, the center gear of the main landing gear is slightly loose, which is a bit strange, but that was how they made them back in the day. Overall, I think it is fine for a 2002 model. The only thing that disappoints me a bit is the fact that we do not have any printed details around the front landing gear. And yes, you might already have spotted it, there is a hole in the fuselage for a stand. I can't say if this was included when the model was released in 2002, my guess would be not, but I really don't know. And then last but not least, we also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft, and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 747-400 in the 1980s standard livery of Varig from Big Bird in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Yes, the model is old, but I think it holds up, especially considering what is released nowadays. I think there are maybe two places where it does show its age a bit. That's the way the wings have been mounted into the fuselage. That's done in a prettier way, I would say, nowadays, and the landing gear in some places shows its age. But apart from that, this model very easily can compete with any recent release. The mold itself, I think, is great for the 747, looking really rather nice. But of course, the main highlight for this aircraft model is the print. I think Big Bird has done an outstanding job with this aircraft model. We have loads of details, many that we don't see as standard details with Herpa Wings releases in 2024. For example, a thing I would like to highlight is actually, well, the print on the belly of the aircraft. It is not too grainy. It has this nice metallic look. Yes, it is not polished metallic, which I guess the original did have, but they're getting pretty close with this gray paint they have been using here. Also, for example, when we look on top of the fuselage, we have printed antennas. Again, something we don't see as a standard, even with Herpa Wings Club models nowadays. And although I did not get my printed details around the front landing gear, the sheer amount of printed details that Big Bird managed to add to this 2002 release, yes, I have to repeat it, 2002, again puts any 2024 release from Herpa Wings to shame. So with the knowledge that we really do have a treat in front of us here, it is time to end today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like. If you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? And with that, thanks so much for watching this video. See you in another one. I'm checking out, and bye.